not feeling it anymore. And then you came back.
Yeah. I think it's when I was first diagnosed with having lupus, I was so down. I was so depressed. And the doctors told me I would never be able to work again. Your music career is over. But, the man upstairs had a whole other plan for me.
Yeah.
But at the time.
Okay, you're engaged.
I'm engaged.
He did good, right?
He did well. Right? Very well. He did good.
But there's no date.
She was so freaking mean to me. I was in shock.
Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%. I couldn't believe it because I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she pretty much reprimanded me. What do you mean? And immediately she made me feel this big. That moment completely changed my career. It made people look down on me.
That $5 million engagement rings from Birdman, honey, just gone, honey. So Toni Braxton is trying to get her engagement ring back. Now, on one of the questions I want to know. I know.
Y'all, Toni Braxton might be the queen of heartbreak anthems, but according to Birdman, she's been breaking hearts and bank accounts. And now, the #1 stunna is finally spilling the tea. In a shocking twist, Birdman claims Toni drained him dry, ghosted him 2 days after their wedding, and is now demanding a jaw-dropping $160 million divorce payout. After years of rumors, luxury spending, bankruptcies, and a mysteriously lost $5 million engagement ring, it's all starting to make sense, and fans are shook. Did Miss Unbreak My Heart pull off the most expensive love scam in R&B history? Or is Birdman just bitter and bent on revenge? Buckle up, because this breakup saga is messier than a BET after-party fight. Toni Braxton may be known for singing sad love songs, but what's unfolding now sounds more like a scammer's anthem. According to Birdman, the legendary R&B diva pulled the stunt of a lifetime, marrying him, staying just 2 days, and then filing for divorce with a $160 million payout request attached. Yes, you heard that right. 2 days of marriage, $160 million demanded. And now, the internet is in complete disbelief. Fans are calling it the gold dig of the decade, and even 50 Cent jumped in on the mess, posting on Instagram, "If you suck DK for 16 years, you should get paid for it." The shade was immediate, but so was the confusion, because nobody saw this coming. Not from Toni, not from a woman who gave us heartbreak ballads and stood toe-to-toe with bankruptcy twice. And now, all of a sudden, she's out here pulling divorce heists like she studied at the Kim Kardashian School of Quick Marriages. Birdman is fuming behind the scenes, telling anyone who'll listen that he was used, manipulated, and financially ambushed. According to insiders close to him, he feels like the entire relationship was a setup, an emotional Trojan horse with a $sign inside. And honestly, a lot of people are starting to believe him. Social media is gagging, with people calling Toni everything from a hustler to a heartless con artist. The audacity has become the main character of the week. Because let's keep it real, who divorces someone after 48 hours and then has the nerve to ask for every penny of their net worth? Birdman's fortune is estimated at around $160 million, and Toni allegedly wants all of it. Not half, not a settlement, the whole bag. If this isn't the most unhinged celebrity divorce plot twist in years, I don't know what is. What's even wilder, Toni hasn't denied a thing, at least not yet. And while some fans are still riding for her, claiming Birdman's just mad she left, the rest of the internet is starting to side-eye the entire relationship. Because if these claims are true, Toni didn't just break Birdman's heart, she broke his bank account too. Now here's where things really start to look shady. Because if you thought the $160 million demand was wild, wait until you see the timeline leading up to it. Let's rewind the clock a bit. Toni and Birdman officially called it quits back in 2019 after years of an on and off relationship that never quite made sense to fans. The romance had already been through engagement rumors, delayed wedding dates, and very public cold feet. So, when they finally split, everyone thought it was for good. Toni herself even said there was zero chance of a reunion. She was on talk shows brushing it off, acting like Birdman was just a weird chapter in her life that she had no plans of reopening. But fast forward to late 2023, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Toni was back, spinning the block like she never left. According to sources close to Birdman, Toni started sliding back into his life slow and calculated. First, it was the casual check-ins. Then came the sweet texts, the flirty phone calls, the just thinking about you messages that made Birdman do a double take. Before long, she was showing up at his events, complimenting his outfits, and reminding him of the good times they had shared. And listen, she wasn't subtle. She was applying pressure. One insider said it was like watching a rom-com in reverse. Toni Braxton playing the love-struck ex, trying to win back the man she swore she never needed. And from the way it's being told, Birdman wasn't even trying to get back with her at first. He had moved on emotionally and financially. But she was persistent. She wanted back in. And eventually, all that nostalgia, all that shared history, all those remember when conversations wore him down. By early 2024, the two were officially back on. It was quiet at first, almost like they were testing the waters in secret. But then Toni started popping back up on Birdman's arm, attending events again, flashing that infamous ring like nothing had ever gone wrong. Fans were confused, some even thrilled, thinking maybe this time it would finally work. But the real ones? The ones who remembered the original breakup, the missed wedding dates, the weird energy during interviews, they were side-eyeing hard. Because it just didn't add up. Why now? Why come back after 4 years of silence? After publicly declaring the relationship dead in the water? And more importantly, why marry him so quickly after getting back together? Well, they tied the knot in August 2024. It was sudden, hush-hush, and barely publicized, almost like neither of them really wanted the world to know until the ink was dry. But here's the kicker. Just 2 days later, Toni filed for divorce. She listed their separation date as August 10th, exactly 2 days after they said I do. No honeymoon, no romantic getaway, no just married Instagram posts. Just a swift exit and a bombshell court filing demanding Birdman's entire fortune. And that's when fans started connecting the dots. Toni had insisted for years that she was done with him. Then, the moment her finances allegedly hit rock bottom again, she does a full 180, gets him back, marries him, and files for divorce before the wedding champagne even went flat. It's giving strategy. It's giving setup. It's giving get in, get the bag, get out. Birdman reportedly feels the same way. Sources close to him say he now believes he was emotionally manipulated by someone he genuinely loved, lured back and under the illusion of romance, only to be hit with a financial ambush. And honestly, when you look at the timeline, it's not hard to see why he's feeling played. From 4 years of radio silence to a whirlwind reunion that lasted just long enough to sign a marriage certificate, the math isn't mathing. It's almost poetic how Toni Braxton went from saying she didn't want Birdman to marrying him to trying to take every dime he has, all in the blink of an eye. And while she may have sung Let It Flow back in the day, now the only thing flowing is Birdman's money, straight into a legal nightmare. As if dipping 2 days after the wedding and demanding $160 million wasn't bold enough, the streets are now buzzing with claims that Toni Braxton took things even further, and it's messier than anyone imagined. Multiple insiders are whispering that before the divorce papers were even cold, Toni allegedly tried to get her hands on some of Birdman's jewelry, and not to wear it. Nope. Word is she allegedly attempted to sell it. That's right. According to people close to the situation, when she couldn't access his bank accounts directly, she started eyeing the next best thing, the bling. Birdman's signature iced-out pieces, worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions, reportedly started disappearing, and it didn't take long for him to start connecting the dots. At first, Birdman brushed it off. He thought maybe some pieces were misplaced during a move or still locked up in a private vault. But when one of his custom chains popped up in a resale loop, through a broker who allegedly had a private client with connections to a well-known R&B artist, everything changed. Sources say that's when the switch flipped. The man who had been love-blind and sentimental just 2 weeks before, gone. Replaced by a furious Birdman who finally realized he might have been played like a piano. According to a source from his inner circle, Birdman was livid, saying he felt used, set up, and robbed with a smile. One insider even claimed he said, "I was sleeping next to the enemy and didn't even know it." Phew. And now, people who were once in Toni's corner are starting to look at her sideways. Friends of Birdman say she wasn't just persistent, she was relentless. One alleged insider described her behavior as strategic, almost surgical, saying she knew exactly how to disarm him. It wasn't love, it was leverage. Others say Toni made herself look vulnerable and apologetic when she slid back into Birdman's life, playing on old emotions and using her health issues and past struggles as emotional currency. And the wildest part? It worked. He let her back in. He trusted her. He married her. And now she's allegedly out here, flipping Rolexes and Cartier bracelets just to cash out faster than the prenup could kick in. Now, to be fair, Toni hasn't publicly commented on any of this, and no official reports have confirmed the jewelry sale yet. But people are talking, and in the celebrity world where there's smoke, there's usually fire, or at least a luxury watch missing from a safe. The timing alone has fans raising eyebrows. Because how do you go from "I'll never take him back" to "I'll take his entire net worth and maybe a diamond necklace or two"? This isn't just messy, it's calculated. And Birdman seems to know it now. He's not playing nice anymore. The man who once showered Toni with gifts, defended her honor, and planned to spend forever with her is now out here dragging her behind the scenes, calling her a gold digger, and daring her to speak up. It's a full-blown war at this point. And with Birdman's money, power, and pride on the line, sources say he's prepared to take this all the way. No more silence. No more second chances. The love is dead and buried, and all that's left is bad blood and legal fees. Meanwhile, Toni's silence is only adding fuel to the fire. Because if she didn't do it, why not say something? Why not shut the rumors down? Instead, she's letting it all swirl. And in the court of public opinion, silence is starting to look a lot like guilt. One fan even tweeted, "Toni out here acting like a Bond villain in heels and a Grammy." Phew, not a villain in heels. But at this point, the behavior is giving heist, not heartbreak. Now, if you've been following Toni Braxton's career since the 90s, this Birdman mess might not be entirely surprising. Because, baby, this ain't the first time Miss Unbreak My Heart found herself broke. In fact, it's happened not once, but twice, and each time it was more dramatic than the last. The first bankruptcy hit in 1998, just a few years after Toni became a global sensation. She had sold over 15 million records, won multiple Grammys, and was basically the face of adult R&B. So when she filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, fans were shocked. Like, how does someone who just went multi-platinum end up broke? But according to Toni, her label deal was trash. She claimed she was only making pennies per album while still being expected to maintain a luxury image. Designer gowns, private jets, 5-star hotels, all on her dime. And by the time the checks actually hit, the money was already gone. But here's where it got messy. To clear the air and reclaim her image, Toni went on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Big mistake. Instead of getting sympathy, Oprah pressed her hard, questioning her reckless spending habits, her inability to read contracts, and her personal accountability. And y'all, Toni did not take it well. She left the show in tears and later said Oprah reprimanded her on national TV and made her feel humiliated. That moment wasn't just a bad interview. It was a turning point. It made people question whether Toni was a victim of the system or her own worst enemy. She tried to recover, but the damage was done. The media dragged her, brands pulled back, and her financial image never fully recovered. Still, Toni powered through. She released more music, rebranded herself, and even landed a Las Vegas residency, a glimmer of stability. But by 2010, the empire collapsed again. That's when she filed for bankruptcy for the second time, and this one was catastrophic. Reports said she owed somewhere between $10 million and $50 million in debt. $50 million. That's not just bad money management. That's financial free fall. She blamed the collapse on the cancellation of her Vegas residency, which was cut short due to a lupus flare-up and serious heart complications. And yes, The health issues were real and devastating. But the mess didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, there were disputes over insurance payouts, unpaid taxes, and a pile of creditors banging on her door like it was Black Friday at Macy's. By this point, Toni's financial foundation was crumbling. The record sales were drying up fast. Her last few albums barely moved units. One project reportedly sold just 7,000 copies in its opening week and peaked at number 163 on the Billboard 200. That's a steep fall from her chart-dominating days. Another album barely cracked 16,000 in total sales. That's not even enough to fund a luxury purse haul, let alone a comeback. And while the Braxton Family Values reality show gave her a much-needed paycheck for a while, that spotlight has dimmed too. The ratings dropped, the family drama got tired, and the network eventually moved on. Toni's once sparkling career had gone from center stage to struggling for relevance and coins. So when she spun the block on Birdman in 2023, people were already whispering. The timing felt convenient. Financial whispers were swirling. There were quiet murmurs of a third bankruptcy looming. Fans noticed she wasn't performing as often, wasn't releasing new music, and seemed to be laying low in all the wrong ways. The bills were still there. The debts were rumored to be stacking. And then, bam, Toni reemerges with Birdman on her arm like nothing happened. Suddenly, she's glowing, smiling, talking about second chances. And then, just 2 days after the wedding, she's asking for every dime he's worth. The same woman who lost a $5 million engagement ring, like it was a pair of sunglasses, now wants $160 million in a divorce payout? Please, people didn't just raise eyebrows. They raised full red flags. It started to look less like a tragic love story and more like a financial pattern. A woman whose income has slowed, whose chart success has faded, and whose debts have mounted, suddenly finding herself in another whirlwind marriage that ends with her asking for a fortune. And while her health struggles are real and her career was once legendary, a growing number of fans and insiders are beginning to question if Toni's romantic decisions are being driven less by love and more by survival. Because when the music stops, the checks stop, and the cameras stop rolling, you still have bills. And according to Birdman, he was the backup plan, the emergency fund in human form. And now, after everything, he's done playing the fool. Let's rewind to the first red flag that somehow got swept under the rug, the infamous $5 million engagement ring. Back when Toni Braxton and Birdman first got engaged in 2018, the world gagged. Not just because of the odd couple pairing, a glamorous R&B diva and a tattooed rap mogul, but because of that rock. That ring was massive. Valued at over $5 million, it wasn't just a symbol of love. It was a down payment on a new life. A life of luxury, legacy, and, for Toni, financial stability. But then, poof, out of nowhere, that ring mysteriously vanished. Toni claimed she lost it on a Delta flight. Yes, Delta. She told the press she left her Louis Vuitton luggage on the plane, somehow forgot it, and when it was recovered, the ring was gone. Fans were immediately confused. Like, how do you accidentally leave behind a carry-on bag worth more than most people's rent? And even if you did, why was the ring in your luggage and not on your finger? Questions started flying, and Toni's answers only deepened the mystery. She posted tearful videos begging for help, pleaded with Delta, and even went on national TV talking about how devastated she was. And Birdman? At first, he played it cool, real chill. Publicly, he didn't accuse her of anything. In fact, he stood by her, told everyone not to stress over a material item, said he just wanted her safe. And for a while, it looked like the drama had died down. But behind the scenes, a completely different story was brewing. Fast forward to now, and sources close to Birdman are spilling everything. According to insiders, Birdman eventually learned that the ring may not have been lost at all. Allegedly, Toni pawned it. Word on the street is that she was drowning in private debt, unpaid taxes, lawsuits, back payment from her Vegas fallout, and needed fast cash. And instead of coming clean, she played the helpless victim card. She blamed the airline. She cried in the press, all while knowing she had already liquidated the ring and cashed out. One source even claimed she used a third party to pawn it overseas, to avoid public records tracing the transaction. When Birdman allegedly found out the truth, he didn't explode right away. Nope. First, he was quiet, hurt, embarrassed. People close to him say he genuinely loved Toni, and he wanted to believe she wouldn't do him like that. But the signs were all there. The ring disappearance, the odd timing, the sudden reappearance in his life after years apart. And once the $160 million divorce demand hit his desk, that's when everything snapped. That's when calm Birdman became furious Birdman. Sources say he felt played, used, emotionally manipulated, and financially hunted. He reportedly told friends, "She planned this." All of it. From day one. To Birdman, the ring was just the beginning. The trial run. A test to see how far she could go without consequence. And when he didn't press her on it, she took that silence as permission. First the ring, then the rekindled romance, then the wedding, then the demand for every cent he ever made. What started as a fairy tale comeback turned into a high-stakes con game, one that left Birdman questioning everything. Was any of it real? Or was he just another asset to liquidate? Now, with the ring never recovered and Toni refusing to explain further, fans are revisiting that lost luggage story with a whole new lens. And suddenly, it's not sounding like an accident. It's sounding like a setup. Because if you pawn the ring, marry the man, and then demand his fortune days later, you weren't in love, sis. You were in liquidation mode. By the time Birdman realized what hit him, it was already too late. The love letters were dust. The wedding photos, pointless. And the woman he thought he'd grow old with? Gone in 48 hours, leaving behind not love, not closure, but a $160 million invoice. That was the final straw. The moment Birdman stopped feeling heartbroken and started feeling hustled. Insiders say he spiraled emotionally and financially. At first, he was quiet, too embarrassed to speak, too stunned to accept the truth. He had defended her, loved her through bankruptcy, and welcomed her back into his world like nothing had ever happened. But now, he's telling everyone who will listen, he got played. Flat out. Birdman, a man known for controlling the music industry and launching billion-dollar empires, just got finessed by an R&B icon he thought he could trust. And now, he's not pulling punches. Sources say Birdman's been dragging Toni Braxton in private and allegedly gearing up to do it publicly. According to people in his circle, he feels like he was set up from the start. That Toni spun the block, not out of love, but out of desperation. That she never intended to be a wife. She came back to be a widow with benefits. Multiple insiders claim she knew Birdman's net worth down to the decimal and timed the marriage perfectly to look legitimate on paper, only to file for divorce fast enough that her name was still trending in the wedding hashtags. One industry insider even put it bluntly, Toni didn't want a husband. She wanted a payout, and Birdman walked right into it. And while Toni hasn't commented on the allegations yet, her silence is only adding fuel to the fire. Because once Birdman started venting to his inner circle, the stories came pouring out. Rumors of her stalling the prenup, her constantly asking to be added to business accounts, allegedly pressuring him to buy property in her name, and most of all, her relentless persistence. One source described her as manipulative, soft-spoken, and surgical. Another called her strategic and sweet, until she gets what she wants. And what she allegedly wanted wasn't love. It was liquidity. What broke Birdman's heart the most wasn't the money. It was the betrayal. After all their history, after sticking by her through multiple financial collapses, after holding her down through health scares and public scrutiny, this is how it ended. A $5 million ring allegedly pawned. A 2-day marriage. A $160 million divorce demand. And a legacy love story turned into a cautionary tale. And now, Birdman's not just done. He's out for revenge. Close friends say he's considering a public statement. Maybe even legal action. Because this wasn't just a heartbreak. It was a hostile takeover of his heart, his assets, and his dignity. And for the man who helped build cash money into a global empire, that's one thing he won't let slide. The final straw didn't just break the camel's back. It turned Birdman into a man on a mission. And Toni? She may have walked away from the marriage with her bags packed, but she might be facing a reputation she can never recover from. And now, the world is split down the middle. To some, Toni Braxton is a survivor. A woman who clawed her way through bankruptcy, industry exploitation, health scares, and heartbreak, only to reclaim her power on her own terms. To others, she's a scammer, a calculated seductress who used love like a weapon and turned a wedding ring into a blueprint for a payday. Twitter is at war. Podcasts are dissecting every lyric. Reddit threads are pulling receipts from behind the music, her bankruptcy court transcripts, and even old episodes of Braxton Family Values. Everyone has a theory, but no one has the full story. And that's what makes this scandal so hypnotic. Because it's not just gossip, it's a mirror of power, of money, of how far someone will go to rewrite their ending when life keeps handing them tragic beginnings. Was Toni ever really in love with Birdman? Or was this a slow-cooked plot from the moment she walked back into his life in 2023? One fan tweeted, "Sis been singing about men doing her dirty for 30 years. Turns out she was the villain the whole time." Another clapped back, "She's been used her whole career by record labels, by promoters, by her own family. Let her get a win for once." The divide is emotional and personal, because at its core, this story isn't just about a failed marriage. It's about survival, strategy, and blurred lines between love and leverage. And isn't that the deepest irony? Toni Braxton, the queen of heartbreak ballads, may have just played the most heartbreaking game of all. The same woman who gave us "Unbreak My Heart" is now accused of breaking the heart and the bank of the one man who believed in her most. Was she always this calculating? Or did life force her to become this way? So now we're left with the big question. The one no one can answer but Toni herself, if she ever chooses to. Was this about love? A real, vulnerable, rekindled romance that just collapsed under pressure? Was this about survival? A woman backed into a financial corner, doing whatever it takes to stay afloat? Or was this about the bag? Cold, calculated, strategic, a marriage turned money grab, executed with a straight face and a $5 million ring she may have never planned to keep? Because the facts are blurry, but the fallout is crystal clear. Toni walked in wearing white and walked out with nothing but paperwork and a price tag. And now Birdman, burned, bitter, and bankrupt of trust, is sounding the alarm. Was Toni Braxton chasing love? Or was she chasing the bag the entire time?